Good morning, guys. Welcome to this next module of the 21-day Rut Buster. This is a really good, really important module, because it really is. If you don't get this right, then you're kind of wasting your time with a lot of things. It really is that first domino that if you knock it down, it's just going to kick off a series of events that is just going to like supercharge your progress. Really. Okay. So let me just get back onto the. Here it is. Onto the Rut Buster solution. Okay, so this is our framework that we're following. We've done the iceberg assessment. Okay, you should have worked out some real practical things that you can start doing right now. What we're doing today, and the reason why we've done that is because I want you to see instant progress pretty much straight away. I want you to see exactly the roadmap over the next couple of days, weeks, months, or whatever, as how you're going to improve what you're doing right now. And that's what this is about. It's about finding some motivation, some determination, some drive to get going, okay? And because ultimately that's why you signed up for this course, because you were stuck, you was caught in a rut, something had to change. So this is what it's about. So this next one then, the appreciation creation, it's really important because, and let me just sort of, without some kind of, I'll just tell you how it is. If you don't value yourself, if you don't value your health, you're never going to look after it. Okay, so it's a bit like when people come on the Conquer Food program. It's a big commitment financially and time wise. What we find is that people that come and their friends and family, or we've even had one person come and their local church paid for them to come along. But when they don't come. When they don't pay themselves, it's so easy for them not to pay attention. It's so easy for them to just toss it off and not really put it into practice, because ultimately it's just come quite easy. And what we find is when people make a massive contribution for themselves, they value it much more. And we, if Paul had her way, everybody would come and they would come to boot camp and they would just do it for free, because, she's just massive for like loving everybody and in a very sort of hippie, white witchy way. Okay, the problem is it wouldn't work, and it wouldn't work because people would not appreciate it. And a rule, a quote that I always live by is, what you appreciate appreciates, because there's two meanings to the word appreciate. One is like that, we care about it and we're thankful for it and we like it, and the other is like interest on money. Like the more we appreciate, the more it goes up. The more of it we get. And when we're going to talk about values, and in fact I'm going to do a separate video on values because it is so important. And what you will find is that when you start to work out, elicit your values, when you start to work out exactly what you value in life, one thing that you can do is look at your own personal space and what is it full of, because that'll tell you what you value. Inside your house, inside your bedroom, inside your office, inside your car, and whatever it's there, even if it's subconscious, that's what you value. So, for example, for me, I don't have a particularly great car. I have like a crappy old truck, because it's just really, really practical for me when I'm moving stuff around camp and taking rubbish to the tip and all that kind of stuff. I just don't value cars. Paula does, and she has a nice little sporty TT, because she really values that. But what I do is I have loads of time and freedom to do this, to do coaching, to put courses together, to sit and think and to put all these things into practice, because this is really, really what I value. I value my health. I value my life. I value the fact that we're here once for a short time, and we've got to make the most of it. And as I'm sat here right now, I'm looking over the river, and this is what I value. I value the ability to look out and have a look at and watch the ducks on the river, or the kingfisher diving for fish, or whatever. I value the ability to go and walk around the field, walk through the woods, go for a run, the time to decide when I go for a run. I don't want to be told by someone else because, I spent a long time in one institute or another, and I really, really value freedom. Okay, so it'd be interesting to see what you value later on. So let's get into it. That was a bit of a long intro. I've got some notes here, so if you hear my paper rumbling, that's what it's about. So in essence, what we want to do is we want to take you from like either low self-esteem or maybe it's not even registered in your mind that actually I don't really care so much about me. It's all about others. Then to like truly value in yourself, because how can you expect to take care of yourself if you don't feel like you're worth it? And I don't want to get too deep into this idea of why do I feel worthless and all this kind of stuff, and maybe we'll do like supplementary videos about it later on because we do a lot of work on that and the Conquer Food program. But I just want to sort of skim the surface and give you enough to start making progress now. But it stands to reason, innit? If you've got, like me, an old banger truck, I'll park that anywhere. I don't give a damn. In fact, one woman once opened her door and it slammed into the truck, and I really didn't care. I was like, look, is your car all right? I didn't care about mine because I don't really value it, Well, it's exactly the same with your body. How can you expect to, you're just not going to go out and buy good quality organic food that's more expensive, that takes a bit more preparation, sometimes a bit harder to eat, let's face it, and when you don't care about what's going into your body. There's a story that I always tell when I start talking about this, and it really does sort of blow my mind how much people abuse their body, and your body is truly your only place that you're going to live. It's always going to be there. You're not going to switch bodies, You should look after it. But so I always tell this story. So a friend, Paul had a friend, and she took one of the puppies from the litter that Paula had. Right, not obviously her dogs had, but Paula kind of orchestrated this puppy. It's quite funny at the time because these dogs, she'd got this girl dog and a boy dog. It was quite new what was going on, and this boy dog was quite young, and I kept seeing them locked together, right, doing the obvious, and I was like, Paula, these bloody dogs, they're gonna end up having puppies, and anyway, she was like, no, he's too young. Anyway, long story short, the girl dog started getting a little bit down and a little bit like there was just something not right, and I was like, she's freaking pregnant, her. And Paula was like, no, she can't be. I was like, I'm bloody telling you. Took her to the vets, pregnant. 8 puppies later, we had a litter of puppies, right? And Paula was like, she almost refused to give the puppies away. She wanted to keep them all like some kind of mad dog puppy woman. Anyway, she did, and one of her friends took the dog, right? And one day, so a couple of weeks in, let me give you a bit of a context, really. So this, I tried to do a bit of coaching with this woman before. There are just some people in this world that you just never ever going to make progress with. All right, they're in it for what we call secondary gain. They're focused so much on the actual the gain, the things that they're gaining from the habits that they've got, that you're just not gonna change them like right now. I'm not saying they might change in the future, but something significant has got to happen. And she'd had a fair amount of luck health-wise. She was not in great shape. She'd been to boot camp and could barely do anything because she was so ill. But she also had habits where she would literally nick her kids' Easter eggs, lock herself in the kitchen, like sit behind the kitchen door as the kids were banging on the door, munching the Easter eggs, because a drivers to eat chocolate was just so powerful, and so you've really got, and she really didn't care about herself. Anyway, one day she phoned Paula and she was absolutely screaming. She was hysterical down the phone, and Paula was, oh my God, what is the matter? What's up? Thinking like one of the kids been run over or whatever. I have no idea. And she went, it's the dog. And she was like, Paula was like, what's the matter? And then Paula started getting bloody not wound up by it, but, agitated by it. And she was like, oh my God, what could possibly have gone wrong? It's been run over or whatever. And she said, the dog's just eaten a load of raisins. I need to get her to the vets. And I was like, what? Now don't get me wrong. I know raisins are bad for dogs, right? But dogs, primarily, like how they evolved, they walk around, they're like the dustbins of the natural world. They will just eat anything. And I've seen dogs in the wild, and I've seen domestic dogs that are now wild. When I first went to Kosovo, during the war, anyone that had a dog just opened the door and kicked them out, and they just started to work in packs, and they were taking down kids and all sorts. So these dogs they were domestic, but they turned feral. And I've seen how they live, and they eat everything, anything. They really don't care, and they just get on with it because that's what dogs do. They will literally eat anything. And she was going nuts because of these raisins, like half a dozen raisins or whatever it was, and she packed it into the car and took this puppy down the vets and paid bloody, whatever it was, the vet fees to get this dog checked out, and the dog stayed in overnight and all this. And I'm just thinking, wow, you're all this for your dog, and you can't even give yourself any. How much poison are you pumping into yourself every day? And you just don't care. Now, my thing is, you've got to be really careful when you're coaching people, and that if you was what's the word? If you were judgmental, you'd go nuts, right? And people would also start to smell it. That they just know that you just held them in disdain or whatever. So what I do is I flip it to curiosity, and I look at the behaviour, and I just become really curious about it. I was thinking, well, why does she value the dog so much more than herself? What is it that's going on? And to be honest, I don't know. I know she's had a lot of shit in the past with relationships and growing up and all this kind of stuff, and I know that. But I'll maybe I'll never really know, because she actually turned out to be a really, really selfish person that and Paula doesn't have anything to do with anymore. So anyway, she's not in our life anymore. But my point is, we do this kind of thing all the time, and I did it a lot when I was in the Marines. If somebody was struggling, if he was on some big mountain yomp and was carrying loads of weight, and if someone was struggling, like I would happily take their weight. I'd say, yeah, come on, give me some of your kit and I'll carry it, and I would carry more in order to help them out, and like doing it once or twice is all right, but you can do this kind of stuff too much, and I had like a lack of assertiveness, and that lack of assertiveness meant that I didn't really care about myself, and I would do a lot of things to my own detriment to help other people. And I think we all have a little bit of that, and maybe it boils down to our parents. We do get a lot of or not just our parents, but our significant adults in our life. We take a lot of our beliefs and our programs from the significant adults in our life. And how many times are you told that it's good to share? Don't be selfish. And we're kind of programmed with this, as we're kind of growing up. And then, what about things like, you've got to give to receive, and just like loads of little things that we pick up, and we develop this idea that, I've got to look after someone else before I look after myself, and for this 21 days, you've really got to treat it like you're in an aeroplane that's going down, and you need to get your oxygen mask on first before you can start helping other people. If you've got people that they're in your care, maybe you look after your husband or your partner a lot, you do a lot of the domestic chores around the house, you look after the kids, you're looking after an elderly your mum or whatever, I don't really know, but you've got to get your oxygen mask on in the next 21 days yourself. Okay, they're going to have to take a little bit of a back seat. You're going to have to recruit some help from somewhere else or whatever, but you've got to focus on yourself, and it only has to be for this 21 days, because once you start getting into it, they will all kind of adjust and allow you to do the things that you do. I got a great tip from an amazing coach called Anne Burton once, and she said that she sees people changing, and you guys are going to change in these 21 days. You're going to change your lifestyle, you're going to change your habits, you're going to change the way that you talk even, and she sees that as like a kiddie's mobile from a nursery. Okay, so remember the little nursery that hangs over the cot and entertains the baby or whatever, and it's, do you remember making them in Blue Peter, where you'd get a couple of coat hangers and make one for, wrap tinsel around it for Christmas? Anyway, it's like that. And when one person changes, it's like pulling down on one side of the mobile. And what that does is it affects the balance of everybody else. And that's exactly what it's like. If I suddenly started saying, right, I'm going to double the time that I spend in the gym, well, that would affect Paula. Because all of a sudden she's now got to, I'm not there, or I'm taken up, or she's got to account for me spending much more time in the gym. So meal time's got to change, our bloody coffees together, our trips away. It does affect them, and people don't like it. And they can start to fight back and sabotage you. And anyway, kind of rambling on. Hopefully you're getting this kind of idea. So I've told you a little story about the puppy and raisins, and maybe it's rung true a little bit. Maybe you're sort of thinking, do you know what? I do that. It doesn't always have to involve other people as well. Like we can fill our bodies full of crap because we don't care about ourselves. 2, because we don't necessarily understand what we're doing. So, and a great way of sort of improving your appreciation of yourself and of the food you eat and all that is to start becoming curious. Paula's just been away on a retreat to look at gut health. It's one of the big things that we're focusing on right now, and we're learning lots about it, and we're testing lots of stuff. We want to bring it into camp, but it's just it's not quite as easy as that, because you need a sustained effort to sort out gut health, and it's like, how do you do that in a week? Or anyway, so she's doing lots of stuff, but what she has done is she's learnt about the human gut, which is phenomenal, and she's learnt about functions in the body, and she's learnt about food, and she's become really, really curious about it. So now she's got a thirst to learn more and more, and now she will often say, well, I'm not eating that because I know what it does in the body, and I'm not doing that to my body's an amazing thing, and I'm not going to do it to that, and your body truly is an incredible thing. Like, do you know that there's more space in your body than actual matter? Which, it blows my mind. Like, there's more space, there's more like nothingness in your body than something. Just because, when you dive right down into atoms, and it just, it's just incredible. And it's when you start to think about that, when we talked before about your gut health, that you pick up your primary biomes in your gut, in your mum's birth canal when you're being born. That's incredible. And what about the fact that, when we think we eat food, we think that it's now inside the body? Well, it's not. Your gut is just one tube all the way from your mouth to the other end. One tube. So even when you swallow something, it's not in your body. It's not in your body until it's broken down and absorbed through either the stomach lining or the gut itself, and then it's in your body. It just when you start to think about it, it is an incredible thing. It's amazing what it does, and we should appreciate it, because it likes to work in balance, and every day through food and our lifestyles we kick it out of balance, and it has an effect. So anyway, so what do you do? So start off with being a bit curious about the body. I'm not going to send out, give you a video purely on facts and figures about the body. I'm going to let you go and do your own research. But what I am going to do is I've got a series of little exercises and challenges that you can do, you can start to work on, that will help you appreciate your body more. Okay, so I'm going to jump into those, and you can either pick and choose whichever one you want to do, if you want to do them all. But what do recommend you do is you do the next one, which is a daily diary. Okay, so I'll see you in the next video. Take care.